I finally watched Obsession, and I've got a lot of thoughts about it. Let's go ahead and dive in on Obsession. So, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought that seems like a movie I would probably enjoy watching. To summarize, just based off the trailer, it's a standard, nightmare wish kind of movie. He gets this cheap toy looking wish thing, where you break it and he wishes that the girl that he likes will love him more than anyone else in the world. And it's, super obvious in the trailer that, it goes horribly wrong, right? And that's a plot that we've seen a million times over. This is nothing new. But what is interesting about this film is it takes that plot and it just adds a refresh on it for a younger audience, for a new generation, and even for anyone to enjoy. I mean, I will say that I enjoyed watching this movie. The director, who is also the writer, I noticed that throughout the whole movie, he would take really predictable situations. Like I don't think there's a point in this movie where you're not predicting what the outcome's going to be in each situation. And those things happen. Like you're like, I know this is going to happen, or I know that's going to happen. And it does happen. But he, like masterfully let those things happen, but then quickly flipped the script and took you by surprise. So even though it's predictable, it doesn't feel predictable at all. Like I said a second ago, it feels fresh. It really does. And the acting is out of this world, honestly, for all of them, but especially the main woman in this. Her character's name is Nikki. Sorry, I don't know all the actor names at this point. I think they're all pretty new. And oh my goodness, she really does really, really well. I mean, it's kind of a role of a lifetime for an actor to play somebody who's like switching between like your normal self to a psychotic self. It really gets to show your range as an actor. So I'm sure it was fun for her, maybe really hard as well. Just having to tap into your brain into weird spots to get to where she needed to get to. I don't know. I haven't watched any interviews with her, but she did really, really well with this. But like everybody else did too. There wasn't one person on screen that I didn't think knocked it out of the ballpark. Like they all did an excellent job. Part of that is just really good acting on their part, but a lot of that is writing and directing. And so the director and writer on this film, I mean, did just such an excellent job of subtext, of not just explicitly saying things all the time, having a bunch of exposition in the dialogue. And so that gives actors a chance to act and to live in their characters. And it just created this realism that like all of it felt real. All of the sets felt real. And I will say it was a small movie, which was a smart move for a brand new young director writer to make something that is small and doesn't cost a ton of money, and you don't need a bunch of extras and big sets and wardrobe and things like that. So that was really smart. But the story also needed it to be small. And so, I mean, kind of like, if you're talking about like, if you've seen Send Help, that also feels small, but it makes sense. It's about two people stuck on an island. So of course it would feel small. This is like that too, And some of the decisions, like the aspect ratio, which, when I was first watching it, you know, I feel like that aspect ratio has been done a lot. I've used that aspect ratio for a lot of things I've made. I feel like it became popular to do that 4:3, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was like a big indie thing to kind of like, go away from your regular, like bars on the top and bottom of the screen, sort of like your anamorphic Hollywood style, which was so popular when I was in college, making short films. And it's almost a rebellion against that to do the 4:3 aspect ratio. And I'm sorry, I'm probably like going into boring areas of this review, talking about like some of the technical stuff with that. But it's things that I'm thinking about when I'm watching a movie. And so when I see the 4:3, I instantly think, okay, like, yeah, I do think that aspect ratio is a pretty, a beautiful aspect ratio to watch a film and to film in, but it's on the verge of being overdone a little bit now. When I'm seeing Amazon commercials and that aspect ratio, or Dove commercials, or it's like it's a quick way to instantly let a viewer know, like, okay, this is like for a young audience and it's indie sort of feeling. But that being said, upon thinking about this a little longer, having that aspect ratio actually makes it feel a little more claustrophobic, which like shows how like the main male protagonist in the film, Bear, and the main female protagonist in the film, Nikki, they're both like trapped in different ways, but there's like a kind of trapped feeling going on. So I think the aspect ratio gives you that claustrophobic kind of like framing where it's like there's not really anywhere to go. And I believe that was a deliberate choice. It might not have been. It might just been a choice of aesthetics. Like they probably thought that looked good. It did look good. So maybe that's why the director went with that. But it adds to the theme and the feeling of the film as well. So, kudos on that. That was a great choice. The writing was excellent. The directing was excellent. The editing was excellent. I noticed in the credits that the director also did the editing, which I thought was such a smart move because, like, I mean, it just beautiful editing. I mean, it just like held shots way longer than a normal movie would do these days, or a TV show. And it just gave room for us to get very uncomfortable. Like, what a brilliant choice to slow things down and just let us as the viewer get uncomfortable. That was something that, like when Sam Raimi made Evil Dead, I think he would talk about that a lot. Like he would do some of the things on screen intentionally pushing them to the edge just to make the audience uncomfortable and squirm. And that's what's happening in this film as well, on a different level, more of like a psychological kind of discomfort. This was a great film. I think you should watch it, especially because you can get a month on Peacock. I think right now they had a special that was like $5.99. You can do that and then just cancel Peacock afterwards, unless you watch Traders, which is going to be coming out in September. So you can watch it fairly on the cheap, and it's worth watching. And I don't want to say it's worth watching just because everybody's talking about it. It's worth watching because it's a great film. Now, since I have thought about, I don't know how I feel about it lasting long term, just because there's a barrier of the fact that it is a horror film. So there's just a large group of people that will never watch this film because it's a horror movie and there are scary elements in it. So I feel like that always puts like an unfair advantage on that genre to have movies that like last, like Lawrence of Arabia or The Godfather, things like that. There are horror films that last, but they, I think, tend to be more like cult classics that have a select group of people that enjoy watching them. I think this film is being talked about a lot, and it is a great film, and it's a great debut film for this director. And I hope that it resonates and lasts for a long time, and that hopefully it gets some Oscar attention. I don't know. I mean, it's coming out in the summer, so it's kind of got that working against it. Will it hold up if you watch it again in 10 years? I think it will. Will it still be talked about in 10 years? I don't know. I don't, probably not, but I don't think that that means that you shouldn't watch it. I think you will enjoy it if you enjoy horror films. And I think you would enjoy it even if you don't enjoy horror films. It's not overly horror in like the, like Annabelle series or like, that sort of thing. It's, like it's almost like a thriller, psychological kind of icky feeling throughout the whole film. But it is horror. I mean, there are some creepy spots in there. There's like, I think maybe one jump scare in it. It's a great film, and you should definitely watch it. So what's interesting is when I go online and I look at other reviews of this movie, people have definitely taken extremes on how they feel about this and that, and a lot of different people feel a lot of different ways. And I talked to several of my friends in person who have seen this movie, all completely different age groups, different genders, and pretty much every single person, including me, like had different thoughts and different perspectives on the film, on just even the general theme of the film and the meaning behind stuff, and just like different scenes. And so the longer I thought about that, the more I realized, like, first off, I thought, I don't want to just come on here and give like my perspective of like how I felt when I watched this movie, or certain scenes, or how I feel about certain characters and this and that, because that's not what's important. I think what's important about what I've noticed is that this film, and we can argue that every film is to some degree, but for sure this film does feel like art. And I know that sounds like really hokey and pretentious to say, and even when it's coming out of my mouth, I'm like, ugh, I feel a little gross saying that. But in the sense that so many people can watch this film and come out with completely different like perspectives of it. And what that tells me is just the beauty of the writing and directing and choosing what to have in the film, and more importantly, what to not have in the film. So I think the reason why so many people are talking about this and so many people have opinions about this is because the creator of this movie left so much space for that to happen and for that to flourish. And the juxtaposition of even just how he cut together different scenes and sequences to where two different people can watch the same movie and come away with completely different thoughts about it. It's just beautiful that can happen. So I'm very impressed with that. And I'm extremely excited that more young people are getting to make movies. I feel like when I was in school and I was making movies, there wasn't as much opportunity. We were still kind of in the old Hollywood system that was slowly degrading. And it was still hard to get an indie film made and out there and get a chance to have real money to make a movie. And it seems like things are finally changing where now this young generation, Gen Z, and I guess Gen Alpha, maybe. I don't know the generation lines perfectly, but this new young generation of filmmakers are getting the opportunity to make their movies, and it's great, and it's working, and people want to go see these movies. And that young generation that old Hollywood was like, they never watch movies, they're only on TikTok or social media, you can't get them in a movie theater. That's wrong. I mean, they will go to the movies. They are going to the movies. They're going to movies to watch films that speak to them, that represent them as a generation, and the things that, like in this film, the things that they are afraid of or the things that they care about. And I'm just like really excited for that as a lover of cinema. Like, it's easy to get cynical and be like, there's nothing good ever going to come from movies ever again, because there have been some slumps in recent years for sure, too. I mean, there's been a lot going on in the world and in Hollywood, but like, there was kind of like a big international boom for a little bit, which was super exciting. And now there's this boom of young filmmakers getting a chance to make their visions come to life in movies, not in just TikToks. Like, like movies are still going to survive and people like watching them, and young people are getting into movies again. I talk to young people and they say that they're now getting into watching movies, and that just is so awesome to hear. And so I'm walking away from this movie, first off, being satisfied from just the film itself, and great ending, awesome, satisfying ending that, endings can make or break a film. This one was great, so you'll enjoy it. But beyond just loving the film and thinking it was a great film, I'm walking away from this just so excited. And not even maybe necessarily from this specific director. I mean, I hope he makes more things and they're great and all that. But just for young directors, I mean, there's so many of them coming out now and that are getting money to make films. And we're getting to go to the theater to watch these films. Like, it's not like they're just getting pushed out by Star Wars and, Marvel, like, or Disney live action remakes. Like, they are getting a spotlight in movie theaters. And that is just so exciting. And such a cool time to be watching movies, and it's cool. It's exciting. So I guess to answer the question of why are people talking about this film, like what do I feel like is really going on here? There's controversy in this and that, and everybody's got these extreme opinions and things. They're talking about all of that because it was a great piece of art that different people can get different opinions from watching the same thing. And that is really, really cool. So 2 thumbs up for this film. I think it's great. Maybe a hot take. It's still not my favorite film that I've watched from this year. I still think Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, is still my favorite film from 2026. And I'm sticking to that. One of my friends thought that Obsession would take that movie's place, but it has not. I still think it's a great film. You should watch it. Figure out a way to watch it or get a Peacock subscription. It just plays ads, I think, like right at the beginning of the film, and then you can watch the rest of the film with no ads. Thanks for watching this video. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. Please give it a thumbs up. Share the video. Please subscribe. And I really, really appreciate you watching my videos. They encourage me to make more. I love seeing the comments. And if there's any other films you want me to watch and talk about, please let me know. And yeah, I will see you on the next one.